Number 9. They were going to buy 4 work shirts, all costing the same amount. He uses a $25 gift card. Is that gift card coming off of the amount that he's spending on the work shirts? Which is why you see this says minus 25. And you'll notice that the variable is going to be the cost of the shirt, which is 4 times then the cost, 4A or 4X. He has $75 to spend. Could he spend all of the 75? Yes, it could be equal. Can he spend more than 75? No. Which is why it's less than or equal. So the inequality says 4A minus 25 is less than or equal to 75. I would add 25 to both sides. I'd now have 4A is less than or equal to 100. And I would divide both sides by 4. A is less than or equal to 25. So each shirt can be no more than $25 a piece. Number 10. Due to fire laws, no more than 720 people. That's a total. 720 people. There's 120 people that they're starting with that can fill the balcony. There's 32 rows, and they're asking how many people in each row. So 32 times the number of people. There's my 2 totals. Can 720 people be in the building by code? Yes. So it can be equal. Can more than 720 people be in there by code? No. Which is why it's less than or equal to. Okay, and that's what it comes out to. 120 plus 32n is less than or equal to 720. 32n is less than or equal to 600. When I divide by 32, it's less than or equal to 18.75. We're talking about people. How many people can be in the row? 18. At most 18. I can't have a part of a person sitting in a row.
Doesn't that be a body, not a person?
There's 11 and 12. Do I need to go back? Shh, quiet. Please, Olivia. Question? Alex. Got the same answer. What did you do? 32n is less than or equal to 720 minus 120? Okay. Is greater than or equal to the 32n. Same thing. Okay? Exactly the same. Just written a different way. It's okay. There's 11 and 12.
Is 6,000 less than or equal to
At least 6,006. Yeah, I already was asked for 11 and 12, so I'm going to do them both. Questions? I can't. Hold on. Somebody's asking. So you ended up with 600 instead of 6,000 for an answer. Then it would be wrong, wouldn't it? Percentages. How many places do you move the decimal? 2.
Is this right? X is greater than or equal to 6,000?
Yes. Yeah, I've already been asked to do them both. Wayne?
I have a question about number 12. The equation 7x is greater than or equal to 2,000 minus 668.
Okay, but it wouldn't be equal to. Greater than 2,000 minus 668 is okay. But it can't be equal in that case. Okay. Number 11 says Liz earns a salary of $2,100 per month. That's a flat rate that she's earning every month. She also makes a commission of 5% of her sales. Okay. Which means I'm taking 0.05 times the amount of sales that she has. That's the total. She wants to earn at least $2,400. So if she made $2,400, that would be at least $2,400. She needs to make more than that. That's why it says greater than or equal to. When I'm doing this problem, I have 2,100 plus 0.05s. I'm going to use X. Greater than or equal to 2,400. I'd subtract 2,100 from both sides. I'd have 0.05x is greater than or equal to 300, and I would divide both sides by 0.05. Greater than or equal to 6,000. In other words, if she wants to make $2,400, she's got to sell $6,000 worth of product, or she's going to fall short of her goal. Wayne.
I said at least 60 sales. Like not $60.
Okay, but that wouldn't be correct. You multiplied by 5, not 5 what?
0.05.
Not 5%.
There's
Yes,
a typo.
there could be.
Dun, dun, dun.
So no,
At least.
6,000
Yeah.
sales.
How dare you, Mr. Holmes? Disrespect.
Number 12. Number 12. 2,000 cans is a total. They have 668 to start with, and they're going to add to it. They have 7 days in which to add, and they want to know how much each day they're going to have to get to meet this goal. It's certainly not the only way you could have set it up. You could have done 7n is greater than 2,000 minus 668. Would have been also okay. Because in the end, what am I going to do to get this n by itself? I'm going to start out by subtracting what? 668. So it'd be okay if you set it up the other way. The reason it has to be greater than and it can't be equal is because they said they wanted to have more than 2,000. So I can't have 2,000. 2,000 isn't more than 2,000. When I subtract 68 and I divide by 7, this comes up to 190.1 something, I think. Why then does it say 191? Because they needed what? More. If I'd have used 190, would they have had more or less than their goal? They'd have had less. So I had to round it up to 191. Plain.
Never mind, it's math related, but it doesn't have to.
Okay.
Good job, man. That vote is kicking in.
13 and 14. I'm sorry. What?
It was 190.3.
Which should have been what? 191. Okay?
So maybe don't like kind of like wanted that.
$13.
13.
Yeah. I didn't need it, does it?
Okay.
Not 14.
Okay. $7. $7 is what I'm spending every month. $10 for each CD. This is the total that I'm going to spend each month. This is the total of what I have to spend each month. Can I spend all of the $100? Can I?
Yes.
I'm capable of spending it all, so it could be equal. Can I spend more than the $100?
No.
Which is why it's less than or equal to. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. I have 10C is less than or equal to 93. I'm going to divide both sides by 10. C is less than or equal to 9.3. Can I buy part of a CD? No. Which is why it says I can't buy more than what? 9. That decimal part would drop off. Lionel wants to buy a belt that costs $22. So he's going to spend $22 on it. And he's going to spend $17 for each shirt. 17 times N. That's how much he's going to spend total. How much does he have to spend? 80. That's all he can spend. Can he spend all of it? Yes, so it could be equal. Can he spend more than that? That's why it's less than or equal. So, 22 plus 17N, less than or equal to 80. I would subtract 22 from both sides. I'm going to have 17N is less than or equal to 58. I'm going to divide 58 by 17. N is less than or equal to 3.41 something. Can I buy part of a shirt? No. That's why it says no more than 3 shirts. There's 16 through 21. The last ones are tricky.
No, they're not. Like they forgot you weren't supposed to do
A little bit of everything. Do I need to go over anything from 16 to 21? I'm sorry.
Be quiet. You're gonna ask questions.
There's number 22. By the way, they put 3 different equations up here. You're going to find out that the test score had to be greater than or equal to 90.
I did something wrong.
You.
What's the pattern?
No, Marcus. Don't encourage.
Okay.
Do I need to go over 22 for anything? Since they're talking about an average of test scores, these 3 test scores could be added together, and then you could add 3S. You could have combined them and then added 3S. You could have even done this, 270 plus 3S over 6 is greater than or equal to 90. Any one of these 4 inequalities would have worked to solve this. The reason I'm dividing by 6 is there's a total of 6 tests. Or the reason it says 540 is the first thing I'd want to do is get rid of dividing by 6, and when I multiply the 90 by 6, it's going to give me 540. So if I solve this, I'd subtract 270 from both sides. It's going to say 3S is greater than or equal to 270, and I would divide both sides by 3. So I know that on each test that I've got to make at least a what? At least a 90. Are you okay with 22? Look, 23 is tricky if you don't know this rule. And if you think about it, it makes sense. If this is one side of a triangle that's 20 feet long, this is another side that's 5 feet long, and this is another side that's 10 feet long. And I hinged it right here, and I started folding this down. And I started folding this down because it was hinged here. Would these two ends ever meet? No. In fact, there would be a 5-foot gap in between them, wouldn't there? So, 5 plus 10 is less than 20 is why this won't work. Two sides of a triangle, when you add them together, have to be, not can be, must be, absolutely has to be greater than the third side. Even if they were equal. Let's say that this was 20. Let's say that this was 10. And that this was 10. Although these points would meet, would they ever form a triangle? No, they'd actually form a straight line. They'd fold down until they hit the line. In order for them to form a triangle, when I add the two sides together, it has to be bigger than the third side. No matter how much bigger, it has to be what? Bigger. Okay? 24 and 25. To me, the two trickiest ones. 24 was a little easier than 25. A lot of words written up there. You certainly don't need to write it all down. Look, if they're telling me m is going to be less than 0, what did they just tell me about m? It's negative. Okay? Think very generically. M is negative. Somebody give me a negative number. Negative 10. So, what they're saying is, if I let m be a negative 10, they want me to compare a negative m to 0. So they're saying a negative 10 compared to 0. But what's a negative? A positive. This would be greater than. So a negative m, if m is less than 0, will always be greater than what? Than 0. That's what they're saying. If m is negative, then a negative m has to be greater than 0. In number... I'm sorry? Right, because a minus is a positive. Okay? On number 25, you have to think about 3 unique cases of numbers. They told me n had to be greater than 0, so I'm definitely not dealing with negatives. But I could be dealing with a number between 0 and 1. I could be dealing with 1, and I could be dealing with numbers that are greater than 1. Maybe 2, 3, 4, so on. Okay? Now, when I have to make these kind of comparisons, I like to pick numbers that are easier to work with. So I picked a half. It's probably the easiest fraction there is to work with. And I wanted to see what would happen in this relationship. I said, let n be a half. In other words, I'm letting n be less than 1. I'm looking at this one right now. If I let n be less than 1, and I'm comparing n to half n, or 1 over n, I'd have 1/2 compared to 1 over a half. If I keep change flip, I'm comparing a half to 2. Which one's greater? Obviously 2 is bigger, which is why it says that n would be less than 1 over n. If I pick 1, it would say 1 compared to 1 over 1 They're obviously what? Equal. If I pick 2, I'm comparing 2 to 1 over 2. The 2 is obviously greater, which is why it shows it here. 3 unique possibilities. There's a possibility of a number between 0 and 1. There's a possibility of using 1. There's a possibility of using a number greater than 1. And all 3 of these cases then would exist. Could be less than, could be greater than, could be equal to. Okay? Assignment. Please remember what I said at the beginning of the class. It's really a good practice if you what?
Work by ourselves.
You work by yourself. Because when you go to take the test, you have to what? Work by yourself. We are going to go over all of it tomorrow. So you need to have it done before you come to class, or it does no good to go over it.
And listen here, Jamal. I asked the other day, and I still did not get past that.